Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're looking into some really profound concepts from the source material, exploring ancient texts about, well, the beginning and the end of creation.
Yeah, and our mission really is to unpack a specific viewpoint on things like authority, human choices, and maybe even a grand cosmic plan that's laid out.
It sounds like a rich tapestry, kind of weaving together familiar verses in maybe unfamiliar ways.
That's a good way to put it. We'll be touching on passages like, 2 Peter 3, talking about heaven and earth passing away, and even the parable of the vineyard from Matthew 21.
Okay, interesting connections there.
They really help frame this specific narrative about our world, its purpose, and its ultimate destiny, according to these interpretations.
All right, let's jump right in then. You mentioned 2 Peter 3.12-13, that image of the first heaven, first earth burning up, making way for something new. What's the core idea there from our sources?
So the key takeaway in the material isn't so much about, is planet Earth restored or replaced physically? The emphasis, the real insight presented, is that this transformation signifies the absolute end of Satan's rule, that oppressive system finally being dismantled.
Ah, so it's about regime change, cosmically speaking, not just geography.
Exactly. It shifts the focus immediately to the powers at play, the authority structures.
Which I guess leads us directly to Adam. The sources introduce this really specific concept, Adam having stewardship, temporary representative authority. Can you unpack that for us? What did that mean?
Yeah, it's crucial. Think back to that vineyard parable in Matthew 21, the tenants leasing the property. Adam's role was kind of like that, with very clear terms.
Okay.
Stewardship meant he had to follow God's instructions precisely, not his own desires. Representative because he was ruling for the Son, acting on his behalf.
And temporary.
And temporary, yes. This authority was only ever meant to last until the Son arrived. Then it was supposed to be handed over. That was the deal, so to speak.
And the sources even placed the Garden of Eden, this place of God's law, interestingly, within a realm they call Hades, where Satan was confined.
That's the framework presented, yes. A domain of order within a larger context. But this raises a really profound point the sources make.
Which is?
That the Son knew Adam would fall. It wasn't a surprise. The fall is described almost as a destiny or a means to complete creation.
Wow. Okay. That gets really interesting. If the fall was foreseen, almost planned as a means, how does that square with free will? Could Adam have actually resisted?
Well, yes. The sources maintain he absolutely could have resisted. God's commands aren't impossible burdens. But the argument is that true, lasting freedom, the kind where sin isn't even a future potentiality, that only comes from truly knowing the Creator's love. Without experiencing that, demonstrated through the cross, creation wasn't considered complete.
So the fall and the subsequent plan involving the cross were necessary to demonstrate that love and ultimately perfect free will itself.
That's the interpretation, yeah.
Yeah.
Even before creation, the plan included the cross to prove divine love, solidify free will, and ultimately perfect the whole creation.
So Adam falls. His authority, according to these sources, passes to Satan. Satan now runs the vineyard by force, not by God's rules, leading to, well, desolation.
Right.
So the big question then is, why didn't God just step in immediately and take back control? Why the delay?
This is where the idea of divine strategy comes in. The delay wasn't passive, it was purposeful. It was apparently essential for a few things.
Like what?
Like fully exposing Satan's lies for what they were. Proving the truth and goodness of God's commands by showing the alternative, revealing the depth of God's love, and crucially, making atonement via the cross possible and understandable.
Okay, so letting things play out in a sense was necessary for the solution to make sense.
Precisely. The sources argue, quite strongly actually, that hidden sin can't be properly atoned for. If God had short-circuited the process,
then sin wouldn't have been fully revealed.
Exactly. Its consequences, its ugliness, its ultimate source wouldn't be fully understood. And without that full revelation, the true cost of redemption, the necessity of the Son's sacrifice, couldn't be grasped. It wouldn't have achieved its full purpose.
So, wrapping this up, what does this deep dive really show us? We've journeyed through ideas of stewardship, foreknowledge, even strategic divine inaction.
It paints a picture, using these specific interpretations, of a very deliberate divine plan where understanding love and the perfection of free will are absolutely central to completing creation.
Yeah, it really highlights how understanding these concepts shifts the perspective on the whole narrative.
Definitely.
So here's something for you, the listener, to consider. How does wrestling with a cosmic plan, this intricate one that apparently factors in foreknown human choices and deliberate divine delays, how does that impact your own view of responsibility, free will, and perhaps the ultimate meaning behind history unfolding as it does?
It's certainly a lot to think about, a different lens on familiar stories.
Absolutely. Plenty to ponder there.